Hello, I am Kim Cogdell, and I am going to review the Teaching for Instruction lesson plan for grade level 10, subject chemistry. I will be teaching the concept of density to students that are of a pretty low cognitive level, students that have difficulty in other courses. Even though this course is titled as a chemistry honors course, most of the students have tested previously not on an honor scale. However, since we are a small school, students are sometimes placed in courses where they fit, unfortunately. My students are on a 10th grade level, but many of them do not have 10th grade level math courses, so that presents a challenge. The standard that we will be covering is a Sunshine State standard for the state of Florida, and it is standard SC 912P 8.2. That standard entails differentiating between physical and chemical properties and physical and chemical changes of matter as well. This concept is very important because the students will have to deal with different aspects and different characteristics of matter throughout their high school or science courses. They will have to also get used to doing calculations and manipulating variables in their science courses. Sometimes this can present a challenge to students who are used to only doing math in math courses. Um, the topics that will be introduced, or our topic, is going to be introduced through a demonstration. So to start the lesson, in order to engage the students, I will present them with 5 different objects. I will place these objects on my desk. Just various objects that I have found around the classroom, a styrofoam ball, a penny, a graduated cylinder, a metal ball, and an eraser. And the students will have to work with their shoulder partner to determine which item is the most dense. Not which one weighs the most, which is usually their default answer, but which item is the most dense. This will introduce them to the concept of a difference between weight and density. So after the demonstration, for the next few lessons, the students will be lectured. I will give them a lecture through PowerPoint where they will have to take notes in their interactive science notebooks. And through them taking notes, they'll get a lot of the key terms and key concepts. I'll give them those key terms prior to us going through the lecture, but the students will have to take notes and at the end of class give a summary of those notes at the bottom of their notes. All of their notes will be taken in a Cornell note style, Cornell notes, so that I'm able to walk around and assess and make sure that the students are on the same page that I am on. The students will also need to understand terms such as variables, mass, volume, weight, and density, of course. They'll have to memorize the equation for calculating density and then figure out how to manipulate other variables in order to determine the density of items. The lesson will be presented mostly through a lecture format, which is direct instruction, and embedded in that direct instruction will have guided practice. So during this guided practice, I will kind of walk through an example with the students. So I'll give them an example of how to calculate density after I've given them notes showing them how to do this. And then step by step, I will give them an allotted amount of time to work the problem or to figure out the next step, and we'll go through these problems together. So that will be the guided practice. After a period of time, after the lesson has been covered through lecture and through guided practice, students will be given an opportunity to show their work or to be assessed through independent practice, where they will be given a worksheet full of density problems and density objects, and they will then have to calculate the density, the volume, or the mass of certain objects. Excuse me. The guided practice will be done in class with their shoulder partner, usually during a point in lecture. The independent practice will be done on a different day. It'll be in an assessment style worksheet where usually students will be allowed initially to use their notes, and then they'll have to present these problems or work these problems independently without using their notes, only um, being given a 4-function calculator to complete the computations or the calculations. They'll be assessed throughout the lesson. So I'll assess them, first of all, daily. They'll have to fill out an exit slip prior to leaving the class. The exit slip may have a term, it may have a density problem or concept that we've covered, but the students will have to do an exit slip daily. And I'll be able to review those exit slips to get an understanding of where the instruction is going, if many students understand, or if there are a lot of questions. Another form of assessment will be the summaries that the students must write after their notes. Twice a week, I will look at these summaries and read through random students' summaries to ensure that they are comprehending the concepts that we are covering in class. They'll also do guided practice worksheets that I will grade. They'll do activities such as Sage and Scribe, where one student will explain to another student how to do a problem, and that student is responsible simply for writing out the problem, and then they kind of switch off roles. Finally, well, not finally, they'll also have to do independent assessments or quick quizzes and tests. There will be an exam at the end of the unit. One of the greatest forms of assessment will be a lab. Students will be required to complete a lab in the middle of the lesson, where they will be placed into groups. The students will be given 5 unknown elements. They will have to determine the mass and volume of the element, calculate the density, and then based on a list of elements that they're given, they'll have to determine which element that particular object is based on the density, the standard density and the density that they calculated. They'll have to write a formal lab report and submit that lab report, and that will be the greatest form of assessment through this lesson. Some of the objects that I will use will be PowerPoint. The materials that the students will need to complete the lab will be the variable metals, a graduated cylinder, a triple beam balance, and a scale, probably an electric scale. The students will also need their Chemistry Matters textbook and an interactive science notebook. I'll have to utilize the copy center through the school in order to print worksheets. And I'll also need the overhead projector and my laptop in my classroom to incorporate the technology that I'll be using through PowerPoint. That pretty much sums up our lesson on density. Thank you for watching.